Okay, everyone, we've reached 6 o'clock, so if we can have the candidates go up to the front and take a seat, as well as everybody else, we will get started. Okay, everyone, on behalf of the Hastings Area Chamber of Commerce, thank you for coming out tonight to our 2026 Evening with the Candidates event. Featuring tonight is Hastings City Council Ward 1 candidates. Each of the individuals here this evening is running for the single open seat in Ward 1. The City Council candidates for Ward 1 are Sierra Edmondson, Grant Marsh, Jimmy Mears, David Worrell, and Ron Stevens, who is unfortunately not able to join us this evening due to a scheduling conflict. In the upcoming primary election, the field of 5 candidates will be narrowed down to 2, and the winner of the general election will ultimately fill the Ward 1 seat. We would like to extend a warm welcome to the candidates and to all of you attending this evening. Thank you for joining us. We are fortunate to have strong candidates for these important elected positions, and we're proud to provide opportunities like this for our community to meet and hear from them. The Hastings Area Chamber of Commerce, Hastings Economic Development Corporation, and Legislative Committee have prepared a series of questions that will be asked of each candidate. To help the event run smoothly and ensure that we have time to cover all questions, we ask that you please follow a few ground rules. Please silent or turn off your cell phones. Please remain seated and quiet throughout the forum. We ask that there be no applause and no positive or negative comments during the forum. Any audience member who is unable to follow these guidelines or is disruptive may be asked to leave. Time has been allotted for 2 audience questions. Questions must be directed to all candidates and should not be specific to any one individual, ensuring each candidate has the opportunity to respond. If you have a question, please go over to Chuck over there and fill out a note card. A volunteer, like Chuck, will collect that card, and 2 questions will be selected to be answered by the candidates up here. As mentioned, a series of questions have been prepared. Candidates will be asked 7 questions, 5 prepared by the chamber, and 2 from the audience this evening. We will rotate which candidate answers first with each question. The candidates will be given 2 minutes to answer the questions, 2 minutes for their introductory statement, and 1 minute for their closing statement. There are 3 cards to give candidates a warning of their time: a 1-minute card, a 30-second card, and a stop card. Also, a quick reminder to the candidates and to everybody here tonight, this event is being recorded by Hastings Public Access, so make sure when you answer your questions to press that button right there, and to please pull your microphone fairly close to your mouth so everybody watching tonight can hear you, as well as our audience members. And with that, I am going to turn it over to our moderator for the evening, Chris Shukai, who will get us started.
Thank you, Sydney. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. And thank you, candidates. And yes, go ahead and eat that microphone when you talk if you want. That makes sure everybody can hear you. As Sydney said, we will start tonight with a 2-minute introductory statement. This is an open-ended question and can include anything, but you might think about why you're running, your qualifications, and what you hope to achieve in the role. As Sydney mentioned, Ron Stevens is also a candidate for Ward 1 City Council. He had a conflict and is not able to be here this evening. He was invited to submit a statement to be read, and he did not do that. So we will start tonight with Sierra Edmondson. And Sierra, your 2 minutes start now.
Hi. First, I want to say thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this forum. It is so important for voters to be informed, so I appreciate the time and energy it took to put this together. I have lived in Hastings for over 20 years. Hastings is my home and the place where I chose to raise my children. Growing up here taught me that hard work, determination, and supporting the community makes anything possible. Some of my most fond memories are biking around the town with friends and family, spending summer days at the water park or library, participating in the Parks and Recs youth ball leagues, attending elementary school overnighters and middle school dances. We had tween nights and high school hangouts. These are some of the memories I hold dear. And this is what I want my children to grow up remembering. That's one of the reasons I am running for city council. Hastings has many wonderful things in our community when children are little, but as they age, the activities seem to lessen. I want to make Hastings a more welcoming place for families and older youth. But families are not my only concern. I feel we need to do better as a city to provide accountable and transparent government. Everyone should feel that they can give input in how our city runs. We need to make our council reflect that, having open and honest meetings with everyone, not just a select few. Additionally, I feel that our city can do more with having responsible growth and spending, which will then lead to tax relief for our community. Hastings has incredible experts and organizations that know how to grow a city, bringing businesses and talents in. We need to do better to be partners, not micromanagers, and let our experts do the job they know how to do. With that becomes responsible budgeting. Multiple meetings and research must happen to really understand the budget. I will put in the dedication, ask the hard questions, and push for cost-effective options. I know that you can't just go in and randomly start cutting to save money. You need to take the time to understand the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Sierra. Next up for an introductory statement, Grant Marsh.
Hi, I'm Grant Marsh, and I want to thank everybody for being here and thank the Chamber of Commerce for putting this on. I'm a nurse, I'm a small business owner, I'm a husband, and I'm a father. My wife and I have built our life here, starting when we moved here almost 15 years ago. And like a lot of families, we care deeply about the city of Hastings and which direction it's going. In nursing, you need to learn to stay calm, you got to listen carefully, and make decisions based on real needs, not just emotion or noise. And as a small business owner, I've learned about how important it is to be practical, accountable, and mindful of how every decision affects real people. That's the mindset I want to bring to the city council. I'm not running to make these politics louder, to argue with everybody. I'm running to help make the best decisions that benefit the people of Hastings. And I believe that Hastings has a lot of strengths. And I believe that we can keep moving forward by focusing on smart growth, transparency, strong neighborhoods, and making this a community where families want to raise their children and build their future. Thank you.
Thank you, Grant. Our next introductory statement will come from Jimmy Mears. Jimmy, your 2 minutes start now.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you for the Chamber of Commerce inviting me. I grew up in Davenport, Nebraska. It's 50 miles southeast of here, but I moved to Hastings in 1987. I went to the Guard around here. I went full-time in 1990 to 2005. I was drafted into Vietnam in 68, got out in 70, and then I joined the Guard full-time in 1990. And got out of that at 2005. I went over to Iraq in 2004 for 12 months. I moved out to the village in 2015. I experienced out there, I thought or felt that we aren't included in the city of Hastings that much. It didn't seem like it. And a few other people I've talked to thought the same way out there. And since Steve is moving on, I thought there's a chance for one of us to get in there and help out the city, Ward 1 as well as the rest of the city, working together. And I listen to everybody. I don't always agree with people. Sometimes I disagree, but I'll let them know, or I agree. Take the best thing that I can figure out and do it. I guess that's about it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. And we'll conclude our introductory statements with David Worrell. David, your 2 minutes start now.
Thank you. My name is David Worrell. I'm not originally from Hastings. I'm originally from North Platte, Nebraska. As a kid, we grew up moving around quite a bit. I went to 26 elementary schools. so I did not know what home was. As I came here, I had gotten into some trouble, and that'll be brought out, I'm sure. My past is not squeaky clean, and I'm not going to tell you that it was. I was an addict, and I've got 21 years of recovery. During that time, I came here, I went to Crossroads Mission, and I built myself up. I gave myself a new life. Hastings has given me a second chance, and I also see that giving back to Hastings is very important, however I can. I have had several businesses here. I've had some problems with one where we had some financial issues, and with that, I have learned overspending can cause a lot of problems down the road. With that learning, I feel like my other businesses have succeeded. I work with handicapped people. That's what I do now, giving back to the people that are around me. I've coached football, basketball, and other sports. I do a lot of giving back to the youth in our town. And the one thing I agree with very much so is there's not enough for our youth to do other than sports. We got to give back to the next generation. My name again is David Worrell, and I'm just here to try to make a difference and do better than what we've had in the past. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Our first question tonight, again, you have 2 minutes for a response, and we will go actually in the same order that we did the introductory statements. So the question is, what are your priorities for Ward 1 and the city of Hastings? Sierra, we will start with you, and your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. So my priorities, one of my first priorities is, of course, a greater opportunity for families and children. I believe, Hastings has wonderful, wonderful opportunities when children are little. My kids have had many fun experiences in Hastings with that. But as they get older, there isn't much. And so I really want to make sure that we are providing better opportunities. I also am wanting to make sure that we have an accountable and transparent government. A government needs to be for the people, by the people. That is something I've always held dear to that statement. And I feel that everyone should be involved, should feel like they can have a say, that their voice can be heard. And so that is another priority of mine. And then also promoting responsible growth. Our local businesses are our lifeblood of our community. They're the pride of Hastings. And so, as our city continues to grow, we need to be ensuring that economic development continues to bring new opportunities to our community and just to help foster a stronger business environment. Additionally, responsible spending and tax relief is a big portion of my platform as well. When we look at a budget, we need to be having, these comprehensive discussions and in-depth conversations about what we are spending our money on and why. And I don't necessarily feel like those conversations are always happening. And so that is one thing that I'm going to dedicate myself to, is making sure that we actually understand the budget so we can make responsible cuts.
Thank you, Sierra. Grant, you will be next. Again, your priorities for Ward 1 and the city of Hastings. Your 2 minutes begin now.
I agree with a lot. I agree a lot with what Sierra has to say on that, especially I made a couple posts on Facebook and asked people what they want to see from Hastings, and one of the number one things people say is youth and family opportunities, especially for teens and young adults. And so you got to ask yourselves, how do you get those things? They don't just pop up overnight. People have to want to come here, start businesses, especially in Ward 1 where a lot of the development's happening out north. So we have to find a way to provide incentives for those businesses to want to come here. And that isn't through just raising taxes. We need to find a way to broaden our tax base so there's more money to do those things, to incentivize those businesses to come here. So one of my number one platforms is going to be growth. We want to do it responsibly without having to spend a lot of unneeded money. I want to be able to talk to a lot of people. I want to be transparent. I think one thing that's lacking right now in some of the city government is transparency and engagement. So I want to make sure that I'm fully engaged with all the people in my ward especially, and everybody throughout the city. And I will always make myself available. I'll be very transparent, and anybody can come talk to me at any time. Thank you.
Thank you, Grant. Jimmy, you are next. Again, priorities for Ward 1 in the city of Hastings. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Well, I agree with a lot of what Sierra and Grant said, but also I agree that we need to get something down south in Ward 1 for the kids to do. There used to be a skating rink down there. That was really took off. My kids were even there. I like to see the taxes more evenly spent around town, not just up north here. Get some down south equally for everybody fair. Like to see a grocery store brought down. There used to be a Kana Foods. That was kind of handy, but now we got to travel up north. When I first moved here, I went to Kana Foods, even though I lived in the north part. Like to see I hear that there's a lot of kids that go to middle school to have to cross railroad tracks. I like to see a safety crossing there for them. And like to see the code better managed, but I understand they're very busy. There's only 2 of them. We need to do something about that if we could. And I imagine there's a lot of codes that's outdated. We should go through and get rid of them so it ain't so confusing for everybody. I guess that's it for now for that question. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. And David, we'll finish with you. Again, your priorities for Ward 1 and the city of Hastings. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. Talking to a lot of people while I was out knocking doors the last couple of weeks, one of the main concerns I've heard was the budget. Of course, you know, that's not going to be an easy fix. We need to be able to cross the aisle, talk to our county people, and be able to talk back and forth with each other. The other thing, I'm glad Jimmy brought it up, is the grocery store. People are on the south side kind of figured like we're lost or forgotten about. Everything seems to be growing up north and pushing farther north, and everything south keeps getting forgotten about. And I'm really glad Jimmy brought up the tracks. I've seen kids crawling over the train tracks. Excuse me. I've watched those kids have to cross the street, trying to get across over to school, and they're jumping on the railroad tracks and climbing trains, and that's not okay. We can do better for our next generation. There's a lot of issues that our city has, and I feel like communication and transparency is going to be key. If we can't start talking across the aisle, we're in bigger trouble than we think. But I agree with everything all of these people up here have said today about the budget, the children. We have to do better. Thank you.
Thank you. For question 2, Grant, we will start with you. And that question is, Ward 1 is home to a majority of the larger companies in Hastings that provide a significant amount of employment in Hastings. What is the role of the City Council in encouraging growth and revitalization in the community? Grant, your 2 minutes begin now.
To encourage growth and revitalization in the community, we need to start with making it easier for businesses to come in. And there's lots of different ways to do that, but finding ways for them to want to build here, especially in the south part of town, is a great thing for them. And let's see. We're going to work together as a city council, talk to each other, talk to the city managers, and find ways to make it easier for those businesses to want to come to the south side or come to Hastings in general, because I think we have a problem where the city isn't attracting a lot of businesses. They're going to Grand Island, they're going to Kearney, places like that. And I think it's a nice place, and we have a real opportunity to bring some businesses in if we can find ways to give them incentives in ways that they'll want to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Jimmy, you are next. Again, the role of the City Council in encouraging growth and revitalization in the community. Your 2 minutes begin now.
I think that we need to try to work like Grant said, to get people or businesses interested in coming. Part of it was, I understood the housing used to be tough for them, but that's getting improved. I'm glad to see that. Wish some of it could go south too. I understand that they're working on a small house place or middle income housing, which would be good, I think, for a lot of people, especially with a lot of kids, cost a lot. But they need to encourage somehow to get businesses coming in. I think it's going to get better, but how we do it, I don't know for sure. But I'm trying to study and learn stuff. Since I decided to run for this, I decided to start working on that kind of stuff, investigating and everything. So it's going to take time for me to figure out stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. David, you up next. Role of the City Council in encouraging growth and revitalization. Your 2 minutes begin now.
One of the things that I think the City Council should do or investigate in is see if there's any type of tax levies or grants that we can get to help encourage businesses to come here and try to take away from the growth in Grand Island and Kearney. Like Grant had said, everybody wants to go elsewhere. So we need to kind of try to figure a way to make it more encouraging to them and make it worth it. And most people know, like in other states, they get tax breaks. If they come here, they don't have to pay X amount of dollars, or there's ways for them to get growth here without that. We have a lot of property on the south end of the town that has kind of gone to waste. And I feel like there should be something that we can do with the CRA and things like that with the community to build back what we have and make it a little bit nicer and better and get these communities some more employment. We have, if I remember right, Bubba Burger out there went from 800 employees down to a very small skeleton crew of about 40 people. That used to be a thriving plant. We got to do something to bring back that industry, and I think working across Iowa County and state legislatures is the best way we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sierra, role of the City Council in encouraging growth and revitalization. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Yes, thank you. So I know that as City Council cannot necessarily bring the business in, but City Council should be doing better to partner with the organizations and the experts that we have here in Hastings. You know, Hastings has a ton of experts who know how to bring business in and know how to bring opportunities in. And I feel that a lot of times we handicap our experts and try to micromanage and try to really be a thorn in the side almost to bringing some of these businesses in. And so I feel that we need to do better as a council to partner with these organizations, partner with these community members who have these ideas and have this expertise. And then another part is that we need to just, in general, be more welcoming to new business opportunities. So one of the biggest barriers I feel for businesses coming into Hastings is sometimes the lack of support that can be happening in the community, on the council, just in general. The lack of support becomes a pretty big barrier for businesses wanting to come in. If, you know, I'm starting a new business, I'm not necessarily going to want to go to a place that brings out so many barriers and has a lack of support for it. And so I feel like we should do better at supporting new business opportunities, and then, like I said, just supporting the experts.
Thank you. For our third question, Jimmy, we will start with you on this one. While a council seat is a 4-year commitment, decisions made by today's council have long-term impacts for the city. What is your 20-year vision for Hastings? Jimmy, your 2 minutes begin now.
I'd like to see Hastings grow business-wise. There is a lot of historic businesses down on along Highway 6. I know, like, we got that diesel or biodiesel plant going in. That's good. things like that I'd like to see growing and get people, keep the housing going. We got enough for now, I think. We need to work on some other stuff, getting business like food place down south. Used to be Econo Foods. There used to be several good eating places, Bernardo's and some of them. Like to see something like that come back. Need to work, like I said, on making the south side more beautiful. And I could go through and name a whole lot of stuff. The other night I thought about all along Highway 6 what there used to be and what there is now. I guess that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. David, your 20-year vision for Hastings, your 2 minutes begin now.
Thank you. When I was an ambassador for the Chamber of Commerce, I did that for about 15 years, and we went out, and one of our jobs was to try to recruit existing businesses to join the commerce. Well, I feel like that we need to do something with the city to recruit and help gain more businesses in the south side and the north side. It's not just a south side problem. This is something that needs to happen all the way around, where we can do something where we can get some tax breaks and get more things for the children to do, and grocery stores. We need some south side grocery stores. I'd love to see that happen within 20 years. I'd like to see our youth have places to go other than just sports complex. Sports complexes are great. I'm an avid sports guy myself, but not every kid wants to do sports. We need to have some things open up where they can do some type of a tech school or something that we can help them do with programming. AI is huge. There's a lot of different coding, things like that, that some of these kids could get into if we had a service for them. So within 20 years, I'd like to see Hastings growing south and to the east and west, not just north. Thank you.
Thank you. Sierra, your 20-year vision for Hastings, your 2 minutes begin now.
So one of my main things I want to see is expanded opportunities for the children, for families. I want to see more community buy-in and kids excited to stay in Hastings. I can remember multiple conversations as graduating high school where kids would be like, oh, I can't wait to just get out of here. I don't want to be trapped in Hastings. I want that to be gone. I don't want that to be a thought that you are trapped in Hastings. I want people to be excited about living here. I want, safer options for our kids. The railroads, the issue that was brought up, I definitely agree with, that is something that has been a barrier for my kids wanting to walk to school. I don't want them crossing the railroad tracks. So having solutions for that. I want to see schools and businesses partnering together more. What opportunities, what internships, what advancements can we give these kids to see that there is options in Hastings and, you have a bright future here. And then also poverty reduction. Hastings has a wonderful program in our community that is actively reducing poverty in our community. And I would love to see more programs like that to help more people and to end generational poverty in our community.
Thank you. And Grant, we will finish with you. Your 20-year vision for Hastings, your 2 minutes begin now.
Well, 20 years is a long time, but I would love to see a city that families are dying to come to because it has the best jobs, it has the best housing, it's growing, it's thriving. I think that would look fantastic in 20 years for the city of Hastings. It's already a very safe community. We obviously want to keep that very safe. And a lot of this starts with, like we've said before, more things for kids and teens to do, things for families, places to live. I think quality of life matters greatly when you're trying to build up a city. So we want to promote that as one of our number one priorities. And when you have growth, you got to have growth, but you can't have growth and just spend willy-nilly. It needs to be smart. We need to strengthen our city, not just sustain what we have. So we need to make Hastings a place where people are dying to come to. And lastly, I want to see a city council that is open and willing to just talk to the people. I want people to see the city council members out on the street, be able to come up to them and talk to them, and have a city government that's for the people and not just for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Audience, this is last call for audience questions. If you have a question you'd like to add, go and Chuck can give you the note card for stuff. We still have a couple more of our prepared questions first, but if you have an audience question, now's the time to get that to Chuck because he will start preparing those now. Meanwhile, we'll go back to more questions. David, we start with you on this one. What strategies do you have for managing the city budget? Your 2 minutes begin now.
Well, first thing I would have to do is actually sit down with some of the people that I know to go over the spending. Everybody talks about balancing budget, tax reduction, and all that, but when you take away from one entity, you're giving to one entity, you're taking away from another, and you got to kind of figure out, it's not going to be an easy solution. It's not just a 2-minute answer by any means. As a business owner, I've had to make those hard choices on what we can spend money on and what we can't. And sometimes you're not going to be the most popular person with those answers. But at the end of the day, if you do what's best for your business, which would be Hastings, you will do better than not. And going bankrupt is not a possibility. You have to learn how to budget everything. As a strategy, I would work with people that I know and across the aisle with the county to make sure that things are working in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Sierra, you will be next. Strategies you have for managing the city budget. Your 2 minutes begin now.
So one of the strategies that I would use for managing the city budget, kind of like with what Dave was saying, conversations, having deep, meaningful conversations with our city officials, with those in the county, and really just understand, first of all, what the expense is coming from and why. And then being willing to ask the hard questions, okay, why are we wanting to go with this contract and not the other? Is there another more cost-effective way of doing something besides what we've always done? I feel like, you really have to break down a budget and really understand it in order to make educated cuts and make educated decisions to really hone in your spending. Because that's how, you're not only saving money, but then when you are seeing, oh, we can cut from here, great, here's another opportunity for us that we can shift that priority to make Hastings better. But you can't do that if you don't have those hard conversations and really understand, budgets are not something you can just wing and do last minute. You have to really dig deep and commit to the time.
Thank you. Grant, you're next for strategies for managing the city budget. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Well, the number one thing I would do would be to talk to a lot of people. We've got some amazing people working for the city of Hastings. We have a lot of members on the city council that know a lot about the budget currently that are going to be serving more time on the city council. So I think as a council, we need to work together, talk to each other, I think is number one. To work on these budget issues. And like I said, meet with the proper city workers, people that work for the government to find out how that affects them, things we can do to help, and expand my knowledge on the budget and that budget issue that we might be dealing with. I know that we've had issues with reserves in the past. We need to not treat those like a slush fund. They're very important for our stability, but we need to make sure that we're using things wisely, talking to people, thinking about things, and making the right decision that benefits the most people of Hastings.
Thank you. And Jimmy, we'll finish with you for strategies for managing the city budget. Your 2 minutes begin now.
I agree with the other three, what they're talking about. We need to talk to the people that's involved in the finance part so we know what's going on and take a hard look at it what needs to be spent and what don't need to be spent, which makes things more efficient, not just go out and spend money. I had a business in Roseland for a few years after I got out of the Guard, and that's what I had to do, is watch what I spent for getting mowers or doing things, parts, whatever, versus actually doing it and trying to make an income, a living. But you need to talk to the money people, and all the council and people get together and figure out what needs to be spent or don't need to be spent and where. Thank you.
Thank you. Sierra, we will start with you on our next question. Can you share your ideas for retaining talent and growing the community? Your 2 minutes begin now.
So for me, one of the main things to retain talent is, first of all, to make sure that they feel supported by the community, they feel engaged. You know, there's opportunities, leisure opportunities for talent to be able to do in order to enjoy living in Hastings. And so I feel like, you know, if Hastings were to grow, some of our, like we've been talking, some of our leisure, some of our opportunities for families, that's one of the best ways we are going to do to keep talent in the city. You know, I've had friends who, as their kids have hit, you know, 10, 11, 12, have moved away from Hastings because they're like, there's nothing really for my kid to do. And, you know, this other community has more opportunities for my kid, and so therefore I can put my time and my talent there. That's a huge drain on our community that we need to fix. And so providing those opportunities, providing those leisure activities, I think is going to be one of the biggest keys for bringing in talent. Additionally, making sure that there is room for growth for the talent as well, that there is multiple opportunities, multiple different things to get involved in is going to be another key for keeping anybody engaged.
Thank you. Grant, you'll be next. Share your ideas for retaining talent and growing the community. Your 2 minutes begin now.
I think one of the top things we can do to bring in and maintain talent is have jobs that they want to work. For one thing, talented people want talented jobs. So starting with, like we talked about earlier, having incentives to bring those businesses in that are places that people want to work at. I know that we've been, another thing that's important for keeping talent is having really good housing. I like seeing that we've had some nice apartment buildings being built in the city. I'd like to see more of those down south. But those are places that, especially young people, having a place to come and live that they can afford is a great way to keep them in the community. And like everybody said 100 times, having lots of things for people to do is extremely important, so we need to incentivize businesses and people that want to start those kind of businesses to come here and do those things. Thank you.
Thank you. Jimmy, your ideas for retaining talent and growing the community. Your 2 minutes begin now.
I agree with them. We need to get things that people like to do to come here. I want to revert back to my military time. I had 14 men and women that were under me, and when we received a mission to do, I challenged them to do it safely but quickly. And we didn't necessarily do it all the time. The Army wanted us to do it, but we accomplished. And I thank them very much for doing that. It made our detachment one of the top ones in our company by letting them do their stuff. And the same thing, we have people come in, we need to thank them for doing it and encourage them to do other things, to do better. And I guess that's it.
Thank you. And David, your ideas for retaining talent and growing the community. Your 2 minutes begin now.
One of the things I think to retain people is, you know, it's going to sound like a broken record, is getting things here. Friday, Saturday nights, everybody's asking, hey, where do you want to eat? And everybody wants to go somewhere south or go up north to eat in Grand Island because there's not a lot to do here. If we're going to retain people here in Hastings, we got to give them things to do. And we got to be competitive with our wages. We got to be able to hire people that are going to come in at a higher base rate of pay. To do that, we're going to have to draw these companies in from other places that are wanting to come here instead of going to Grand Island or Kearney where they're going to be competitive over there. We have to find a way to give them some kind of a tax reduction or a break of some sort, or make some kind of an enticement way for them to get here. The youth have to be important. We have to keep thinking about them because obviously that's the next generation. But if you're a family of 4 coming in and you're a talented family and there's nothing for you to do but you have a nice house, they're not going to want to stay here. They're going to go to Grand Island and Kearney and make some out of themselves there. So we have to figure a way to bring in some more business that we can draw people here, not just big businesses, but smaller businesses too. There's IT, there's all this AI stuff going on. I know we can do call centers and things like that to draw people here. There's a lot of opportunity for people in Hastings. We just have to dig deep and find it with ourselves and be common sense with it. Let's help each other figure it out. Thank you.
Okay, we now move to audience questions. And Grant, we will start with you on this one. Here is the first of the audience questions. Property taxes are a big ticket item. Do you know how property taxes are generated and subsequently applied to pay the city bills? Grant, your 2 minutes begin now.
Excuse me. I actually just got a crash course on the property taxes, and I have a lot to learn. So I know that the city only receives about 20% of the property tax base that we get, but I would, number one, I need to get with a lot of people, and I will do that as I go forward to understand it even deeper. But I know that the portion that the city gets isn't as big as a lot of people think, and a lot of it goes to our schools, which is a great thing. And so, like I said, I just want to go on. I want to learn more about the property taxes and be able to make great decisions based on what I know in the future.
Jimmy, you're up next. Property taxes, do you know how they're generated and subsequently applied to pay the city bills? Your 2 minutes begin now.
I don't know a lot about the taxes. I know some. I'm not like Grant. I want to learn. I was trying to find out different things happening. And like you said, I didn't realize at the time that we don't have as much as I think we have coming in. It's the percentage-wise isn't there. Seems like the taxes, I don't know. I don't know a lot about them right now. I have to study on them and figure it out.
Thank you. David, up to you next. Property taxes, how they're generated and subsequently applied to pay the city bills. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Well, like Grant and Jimmy here, I don't know a ton about it, but the one thing I just had a conversation with the gentleman earlier about some of the property tax. I was a little frustrated when I seen Hastings gets a smaller portion than the federal. So part of it goes to state, part of it goes to federal, but the bigger majority of it goes to the Hastings Public Schools, from what I understand. Again, I don't know a ton about it. I'm still learning. I just became a property owner myself. So with that, I'm kind of learning as I go. But there are a lot of people out there for resources, and the biggest part of it is communication and talking to the people that know. You can go to the assessor's office, you can go talk to there's plenty of people that are in this room right now that know enough that would help you understand it, and common sense will go a long ways. Thanks.
And Sierra, you know how property taxes are generated and applied to pay the city bills. Your 2 minutes begin now.
Yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of what everyone else has said too, is that I don't know a ton on property taxes. You know, I do understand that, you know, property taxes is a big concern in Hastings, and that a lot of people feel that, you know, property taxes are skyrocketing and that there's been concerns. talked about when it comes to fair evaluations. And so I do know that it is something that we need to be working on and dealing with. And I also, echo what Dave said too, is that Hastings has experts in this. As a city council member, you don't need to know every single little thing, because you know that there are experts that you can learn from to help make informed decisions. And so I think that's one thing that I will especially be using, is relying on the experts in our community to learn more, and also just to make, as I said, make better decisions and learn from them.
Thank you. Our second audience question, Jimmy, we will start with you on this. And the question is, this town is well known for specific individuals and group entities trying to control city council members and how they vote. Do you feel that you will be affected by this, and how do you plan on handling this situation? Jimmy, your 2 minutes start now.
I've been in situations like that before in the past, and I don't necessarily go along with what they say or want to do. I got my own mind. I listen. I'll consider it, what they're saying or wanting to do, but I don't side with them necessarily just to affect whatever's going to go on. It's got to make sense to me. So I guess that's it.
David, you're next. Specific individuals and entities trying to control city council members and how they vote. Do you feel you'll be affected by this, and how do you plan on handling the situation? Your 2 minutes begin now.
That is a good question. I'm not from here, but I've heard about old money quite a bit, and I'm not one to be bullied. Not that I can't get along with people. I can reach across any aisle and talk to anybody. There's plenty of members that don't like me and are not happy to see me running, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean we can't work together. You have to have your own mind. You have to have your own morals. And I let my faith guide me. I let my family help guide me. And I have my friends that help me. And I can talk to anybody at any time, and we can not always see eye to eye about things, but I'm going to use what God gave me in my mind and help me make the best decision I can for what I would do with my own house. If I feel like it's the best thing for my house, then I feel like it would be the best thing for our town. And I would bounce that off with people that I trust. And I don't always agree with those people that I trust either. So common sense, again, I keep saying it, will go a long way. And it's not that hard.
Thank you. Sierra, you're up next. Individuals and groups trying to control city council members. Do you feel you'll be affected, and how do you plan on handling the situation? Your 2 minutes begin now.
So I do feel like that is a big problem that we are currently facing as a city. And that's one of the reasons why having an accountable and transparent government is so important to me. We have rules in place like Open Meetings Act and other rules to where, we're not having secret behind closed doors meetings, and we're not, doing, closed votes, things like that, so we need to make sure that we are ensuring that transparency. And that is something that I've always believed in for any issue. I should be able to explain why I voted for something and give my reason and stand by my reason. And that's something that I will always make sure I do. No one's ever going to question why I voted for something or against something, because I don't feel like that's how government should be ran. And so to answer your question, no, I don't think I will be affected by some of these smaller groups because I don't believe that's how government should be ran. Like, that's not my values.
And Grant, specific individuals and entities controlling city council people, do you feel you'll be affected by this, and how do you plan on handling it? Your 2 minutes begin now.
Yeah, I think that's definitely been a big problem in the past, and I think the number one way to solve that problem is to listen to your constituents, especially in Ward 1, but also throughout the city. Also, working with the city council, being able to talk to each other, not having secret closed-door meetings with just a few members of the council, but to work together as a whole city council to make these decisions and not with influence of these outside groups. So I think, like Sierra said, being transparent is going to be a number one priority, being available to my constituents and listening to what they have to say to encompass everything together to make the right decision for the city of Hastings.
We have reached our time where we get to the closing statements. You have 1 minute for a closing statement, and we will go in reverse order from the opening statements. So, David Worrell, we will start with you. Your 1 minute begins now.
I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I appreciate the chamber putting this on and all of you guys sitting here listening to us. I'm not a polished politician. Never thought I would do this, but I felt like I've had enough people talk to me and ask me, why don't I do it? With my past, I always thought it was going to be in a closed door. But at the end of the day, I feel like I could do a good job. I've got a good head on my shoulders, and I have learned a lot. I'm going to continue to learn. I'm going to continue to reach across the aisle, and I'm going to talk to the people that are already sitting and people that have sat here before, and talk to the people in the community to try to find out better ways that we can all get along and do what's right for Hastings. Hastings is a beautiful home. I love it here. It gave me a second chance, and I want to give back to that chance that they gave me. Thank you for your time. That's all.
Thank you. Jimmy Mears, your closing statement. Your 1 minute begins now.
I echo that. I thank you for everybody coming and the Chamber of Commerce putting this on. I'm not a real good speaker in the public, but I've improved. I've been president of councils, church, Good Samaritan. Back home, I was on the city council there in Davenport, and I've been on several boards other places. Plus in the military, I was leader there, like I said. And if you want to know more from me, where I'm more comfortable, not so nervous, Saturday I got a coffee and donut greet out at the DAV at 3 o'clock if you want to come and hear some more stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Grant Marsh, your closing statement, and your 1 minute begins now.
Again, like everybody said, thanks for everyone for coming out, and thank you, Chamber of Commerce, for putting this on. And I also wanted to thank Jimmy for his long military service. I appreciate that. Ultimately, I'm running for city council because I care about Hastings, and I want to be a thoughtful voice for the city. I don't pretend like I have every single answer, and I'm not going to pretend like that if I'm in office. So I know how to listen. I know how to ask good questions. I know how to study an issue and how to make thoughtful decisions. So that's what I would have done in healthcare, and that's what I would have done in business, so that's what I'll do on the council. At the end of the day, it's pretty simple for me. I want to help make the best decisions that benefit the people of Hastings. And if you want someone who's calm, practical, focused, and focused on the community instead of politics, I'd really appreciate your vote. Thank you.
And Sierra Edmiston, your closing statement, your 1 minute begins now.
Yes, I echo the thanks that has already been said, for hosting this event and for community members for being out here and being engaged. I'm not a politician. I'm not, big into big speeches, things like that. I'm a community member. I'm a mom. I care about my community. I want to see my community grow and prosper. I want to see it to be a place where, my kids want to stay. And I feel that, I feel like I have some pretty good ideas and that we can, work together and make this happen. And really just come together as a community. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Thank you, constituents. I will turn it back over to Sydney now.
Okay, and with that, that is the conclusion of our forum. So thank you to all of our candidates for coming out tonight, and thank you to all of you for coming out and hearing from our candidates tonight. Just a reminder, we would like to invite you to our upcoming council candidate forums. We have 2 more left. So tomorrow on April 8th, here at the Hastings Airport at 6 p.m., we will be having our Ward 3 City Council Forum. And then next Wednesday on April 15th at 6 p.m. at the airport, we are going to have our Ward 4 City Council Forum. So make sure to come out, get engaged, and learn more about your candidates that are going to be on the ballot this May 12th. A big thank you to Hastings Public Access who recorded the forum tonight. If you would like to rewatch this or share this with anybody, make sure to go onto YouTube, onto their channel, and you'll be able to do so there. Also, thank you to our volunteers. Just a reminder, if you would like to stay after the meeting tonight and engage with our candidates, we encourage you to do so. Otherwise, keep staying engaged and getting informed. And remember that the primary election is on May 12th. So feel free to vote. And with that, we'll end our forum. Thanks for coming out.